Welcome to TFI, and today's feature will begin momentarily after a few short messages. This video is brought to you by me, because I'm the one doing it, and it was made possible by me and all the shit that I've got here to make a video. Anyway, let's go. This video is on Vault. If you're that one guy that sees a Vault video appear in your subs feed, and then you think that's what the dislike button's there for, because this video is not relevant to me, therefore I'm going to press dislike, you, sir, are an absolute twat and a complete cretin. That's not what the dislike button is there for. A dislike button is there if you don't like a video, if you think it was shit, or if you completely disagree with or find the content insulting or offensive. That is what the dislike button is there for. It is not to express your dissatisfaction at a video appearing in your feed that you don't understand. However, it's all engagement and stats to me anyway, so go ahead and press that. But for the rest of you that are interested in Vault, let's look at copy design. Right, copy design is an absolute brilliant bit of kit, and this video is going to turn out completely differently. Actually, it was going to be a rant, but because it's actually functional and it does work, I'm going to do a sort of how-to and also a rant mixed in at the same time. So copy design used to look something like this in the olden days. Right, this is what it used to look like, and it was functional and it worked quite well. Everybody got their head around it and it was nice. If you're not familiar with copy design at all, it is the function of taking an assembly, or a part actually, or a drawing if you want, and then creating a duplicate of it, all right, creating a new top level, and then choosing to reuse or copy some of the bits below. So here's a GTX 970, right, that's a graphics card. Looks a little something like that. Now, if you're going to do a GTX 1070, for example, and the card might be 90% the exact same, but then 10% of it's going to change, you would run a copy design on the top level, create a new top level assembly, and then you would tell the copy design tool to reuse maybe 90%, like I said, of the bits below, but then new fans. We'll put new fans in, we'll put a new front plate in, new GPU, maybe a new PCB board, but the rest of it can stay the same. All the screws, all the bits and pieces, they can stay the same. That's what copy design was for, and it used to work brilliantly until it was actually Vault 2015 Release 2, R2, which changed it up. And copy design now looks like this. It is a complete and absolute gash of a clusterfuck. It's awful. And in my experience, the majority of people ask me how to turn this off rather than how to figure out how to use it. So I'm going to explain how you use it, but at the same time point out its many flaws, because it has many of those. So copy design, this is it. This is the dialog box. The problem with it is that it's extraordinarily user unfriendly. It's terrible. So looking at the main area within the copy design dialog box, right, you've got the main columns here. So you've got name, you've got ID. I mean, ID, I don't know what the ID even means. It's not relevant. You don't need it. I don't care what anybody says. And just FYI, right, if you're that guy in the comments that listens to videos and then sort of pauses and corrects the author as you're watching the video, just know I don't care. Right, I don't care. I don't want to know what this is, because I know it's not relevant. I can do a copy design without needing to know what this column is. Therefore, it is not relevant. It is there purely to confuse the user and to make this dialog box look more daunting than it needs to be. So whatever this is, it doesn't matter. It's not an item bomb either. It is not your item numbers, because underneath red shroud, which is item number 1, for example, that should be 1.1, 1.2. Instead, you get 23, 24, 25. I mean, please. Right, the next column along, right, you've got status. Status of what? You don't know. Status? Is the file good, bad, sleepy? I don't know. Status? It doesn't even give you any space to put any stuff in. You can't make the column bigger or smaller. It's just 3 dots, which are apparently a status. What kind of a status? What does that refer to? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. If you click, by the way, if you do click help, right, that just takes you to a generic landing page, whole array of hyperlinks, which you just think, I ain't got time to look through all that. The answer might be in there somewhere, but there's no chance on hell or on earth that I'm going to be looking through all of those links to try and find answers to something that, frankly, I don't care about and I don't need to know about. Because, again, I can do the job of copy designing without needing to know what these 2 columns are, right? Action. At this point in time, action, again, means nothing. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. If you look back to the original, right, if you look back to the original image, there is no action, there is no status column. And you could do a copy design perfectly well with just these columns. This is the essential information that you needed to know before doing a copy design, right? The file name, the revision, what is the revision of the item you are creating a copy of, or just make sure you're copying the latest revision, for example. There's the new file name. We're copying Excavator, and it's going to be called Excavator 2. That's the new top level assembly you're going to get. This is where it's going. Just clarification, you're copying it, right? That's all you needed to know. And now we've got status and IDs and actions and stuff, right? Okay, we'll come back to that. Revision, fair enough. State, fair enough. Count, I have no idea. Again, I don't know what count means. It's definitely not a quantity, because I can tell you for a fact there's more than one torque screw in this assembly, so it's definitely not quantity. I don't know what it is, and again, just to reiterate, I don't care. I don't care. You know, if it was useful and immediately obvious, then I can explain it, but it's not, and I just don't care. Right, the next column is has destination path. Has destination path. Right, well, if that is, what, yes, no? I mean, it's all empty. If is a path meant to fit in there? I mean, you're going to be hard-pressed to fit a path in there, so you can... Nope, you can't make it any bigger, so that's no good. And then this one here is the category glyph, which is marginally useful. This is the Vault Professional, Vault Workgroup category glyph that the files are assigned to, which just isn't relevant in the scheme of the copy. It doesn't do any harm, but it's not relevant for the copy design. All right, so that's the main window. So how do we create a copy? Right. At this time, I was going to go off on a rant and sort of take the piss out of it and be like, this is how bad it is. But it is bad, right? It's not obvious how to do a copy. The buttons along the top bear no resemblance to what's going on behind. It doesn't. It's the user interface is totally, it's out of sync. It's disproportionate and it's inconsistent with what's going on behind in the rest of the Vault program. What I think, right? I know I'm waffling a lot, but hey, that's what I do around here. My theory is that this utility here was written for a massive customer of Autodesk, right? Maybe Autodesk Consultant Services were tasked with the job of rewriting copy design for a specific huge Autodesk global customer. Autodesk Consultant Services then realized that they've written something which is actually more functional than the actual copy design in the real core product, and Autodesk decided to integrate this into the product. However, this thing was written for a specific customer, so a lot of the things that it does are very niche and very strange and very out of place, not very user-friendly. The programmer who written it, no doubt very talented, isn't the best at UI design. Isn't the best at sort of user experience, shall we say. So it needs a lot of polish, and the insulting part of it being that this has been in for a good 3 years now, so it's had time to mature, and it just hasn't. So here we go. This is how you actually do a copy, right? It's not underneath here, it's not underneath here, it's not underneath here, right? So to actually copy your top level, what you've got to do is right click on the file you want to copy, and then you select copy, which you think, oh, that's obvious. Of course it's obvious. Right click and copy. Fine. What now? Well, you then go down to the lower nodes, and then you pick the nodes that you want to copy. So if we say, right, we also want a new, I don't know, red shroud, right? Right click and copy that. And we want a new, I don't know, black shroud. Let's copy that as well. So we've got 3 new files that we're going to copy. What about the part number? What about the part number? We're going to rename these, and we're going to give them new part numbers. In the old copy design, right, there was a big tick right in your face that says update part number for copied files. That was really useful. It was right there in your face. Information you needed to know about, very important and vital to the function that you're doing. There it is, right in your face. Here, no sign of it. It's completely gone. It's completely gone. But we'll come back to that. It actually does take care of it itself. It's just not doing a very good job of letting you know that it's going to. So the next thing you need to know about is where the file is going to be copied to. How do you know where this is getting copied to? It's, again, in the old copy design, copying from here, copying to here. New file name, Vault folder here. Two things, very important, are listed right in front of your face. Fine, great. What about the new copy design? It's a complete mystery. Where the hell? Right, so what you've got to do is right click on each of the nodes and you say copy to. Right, yeah, you've got to select copy, then you've got to select copy to, because doing 2 things is better than 1. You can't argue with that. Doing 2 is better than 1, so copy to, and then you've got to pick the destination folder that you want it to go to. So maybe we can create ourselves a new folder underneath engineering data. We can call this GTX 1070, and then we can put that in there. Okay. Did it do it though? Did it do it? There's no feedback. There is no feedback to let you know that what you've just done has actually done the thing you wanted it to do. So we'll try it on the next file. Let's go to copy of red shroud, copy to GTX 1070. Okay, nope, still no feedback here. Copy to GTX 1070. Nope, still no feedback. Where it's actually put it, would you believe, is has destination path. Has destination path. Hover over that little icon. There it is. There it is. It would have made too much sense. It was too useful to actually show you the path here. Yeah, the new Vault folder. It was too useful to show you the path. Now we've got to condense it down. It's not as useful as telling you the ID in the empty status, in the random count that means nothing. That's not as useful as where you're actually copying them to. So I'll tell you what, we'll snuff off the destination path into this little icon here, and we'll leave this other junk over here on display. Come on, really? Anyway, that's how you tell it where it to go. The next thing, the next most important thing, the new file names. And this is where things start to go really, really downhill and confusing. Don't get me wrong, I'm taking the piss out of this because it's terrible and clunky, but it is actually functional and it does actually work. It's just horrible to get around. To change the names and give these a new file name, how do you think you do this? Right, on the right hand side you've got copy, so you go here, you right click and is rename. I'm clicking, nope, double click doesn't work. How do I give it a new name? There's no rename. Action, right click, no rename. How do I give these things a new name? I'm looking over here, actions, sourced, right click, nothing there, rename, choose columns, quick, reuse, replace. By this point, most people trying to figure this out for themselves will have lost their patience by now. Autodesk, if you're watching, that's not an exaggeration. Most normal people at their desk needing to do a job quickly because they've got deadlines will have lost patience by now and have given up, and they'll have just went and done it manually because this is a joke. The way you rename your files and give these a new name, right? The copied files a new name. Would you believe it? It's the 5 rectangles and an underscore button down here. At what point in any of Autodesk's other software programs do 5 rectangles and an underscore refer to numbering or file names? I'll tell you where. Nowhere. It is stupid. So you click this numbering, right? And now you get this. Old name, new name, prefix, base name, and post. Base name. Again, nowhere in Vault or any of Autodesk's other products has a file name being referred to as base name. It's so confusing and inconsistent. It is a joke. So what you've got to do is make this box a bit bigger because it's a bit difficult to see. So you've got your old name, and currently this is the new name, right? So you right click on it, and then you can go to, there's a couple, you've got a couple of options here. You can either go to set values, go to the prefix, and make sure that that's empty, right? Click OK on that, and that shifts the prefix. Right click on the next one, set values, prefix, clear the prefix. Or, I mean, you can just wipe it out like that if you want to. So you can do it per cell. But then you've got your base name here where you can type in GTX 1070. Of course, that's how you do it. I mean, now that you've been shown how to do it, it's kind of obvious. But there is a lot of people that would have never, ever figured that out. So the red shroud, we can now change this to a blue shroud. The black shroud, well, this is now going to be a grey shroud. So there's your new file names. They're going to be copied and they're going to be placed into that folder there. That is your copy design done and dusted. What you would then click is the go button, and that'll create your 3 new files and put them in the 1070 folder. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's click go, and it's worked. So it's functional. It does actually work. It's just horrendous, clunky, complete clusterfuck of an interface to get around. Now that it's done, tick, 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 they've been copied. Let's shut copy design down. There's the 1070 folder. There's our GTX 1070. Let's have a look at the part number. The part number has updated to say GTX 1070, even though there was no feedback to tell you and confirm that it was going to do that. It has actually done that. So there's your GTX 1070. If we look underneath it, we should have the blue shroud and the grey shroud should be in here somewhere. There it is. Okay, so what else is wrong with it? Well, one of the major downfalls and one of the major needs and requirements which was missing from the old copy design was the ability for copy design to integrate with Vault's numbering schemes. Vault's numbering what? Right, well, Vault's numbering scheme is when you're in your CAD program, right, Inventor or AutoCAD or any other, I guess, program that supports the numbering schemes. When you click Save, this pops up, generate a file name. So you create your own numbering scheme, and then when you click OK, it gives you the next number in the sequence, right? So there's part number 3. If I click Save again, right, TFI part numbers, there's part number 4. So it keeps on churning out the next number in the sequence, right? The old copy design could not retrieve numbers from this numbering scheme because it was conceived before Vault brought in numbering schemes. And for some reason, I don't know why, Autodesk couldn't figure out how to add that into the old copy design. Instead, they brought in this new copy design instead and completely trashed the entire user interface for pretty much, I can see this is the only benefit of that. Okay, so let's test the numbering scheme. Let's delete our 1070 because we're done with that. That was just a test. We can get rid of him. No problem. Let's go back to 970 to the main assembly. Right click on him and let's do a copy design. Okay, how do you think you get a hold of your part numbers? This is gold. Honestly, this is a slice of fried gold. It really is. How do you think you create a copy of that top level and give it a part number from your numbering schemes? Go on, take a guess. Take a guess, right? We're at numbering, right? Right click. Where's numbering schemes? Nope, nope. It's just, at the moment, it's letting us manually type in a number. How do you think we can get an automated part number? Right, where is it? Down here, this button here. Nope. Nope. I mean, the numbering scheme's working because in Inventor, it's giving me part numbers. Yeah, there's number 5. Now it's part numbers active. It's working. But why isn't copy design looking at the part numbers and getting the part numbers? I'll tell you why. Because for some reason, even though the part number is turned on, you've got to go and turn it on again in copy design. You've got to... Okay, this is obviously... I mean, duh to you for not realizing this. You've got to click this little button under here, go to numbering schemes, and then make it shown. Shown, not active, which is the word that's used in the other area where you turn on numbering schemes. Active, no, it's shown. The inconsistency is terrible. Click OK, and that puts the TFI part numbers, a little slide bar, whatever you call this thing here, down here. And that is how you create numbers. But where is it? What? I've copied, right? Copy. Why is it not in there? View, choose columns. Why is it not expand 1 level, 2 level, copy? How do I get that into here? How do we do this? How do we do this? Well, obviously, you idiot, you meant to drag it from there into there. Who did? Oh, that's... Well, silly me. That's me slapping myself in the face for being a muppet, for not knowing that you've got to drag and drop this in here. Because there's loads of other places in Vault where you've got to drag and drop stuff, said nobody ever. So there's the old name, GTX 970. The new name is going to be retrieved from the part numbering scheme, TFI-#####, with the hashes representing the fact that it hasn't given us the number yet. It doesn't know what, because as I'm talking right now, someone else in the office could press save and get a number, so it doesn't know what the number is yet until we actually commit to the copy design. So let's put this into, let's copy it too, and we'll put this in the 970 folder. Bearing in mind that 970 folder could have 20,000 files in, right? That 970 folder's got 20,000 files in there. It's a massive folder full of stuff. It's full of good work, real engineering work. So let's click go. Let's copy that into the GTX 970 number, and it doesn't tell you what part number it's give you. Well, look, where's the part number? Is it part number 6, 7, 8, 9, 50, 100, 200, 1,000, 20,000? Doesn't tell you. It just says, yes, you've copied your file. The part number well, you got to go and find it yourself. So what you've got to do is go to the folder and then search through a folder potentially with 20,000 files in to find the file you've just copied. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now, there'd be people there going, well, come on, you can obviously order this by search. But that requires, you could order it by search, the date. It's just been created, so just order the folder by the order in which the files have been created. All right, genius. That means I've now got to go into Customize View, Fields. I've got to go into Create Date, click OK, click Close, and then reorder the entire thing by Create Date. In fact, that's not even the right bloody thing. It's empty. So let's go back to Customize View. Let's go back to Fields. We're probably going to be needing Date Modified, maybe? Date Modified? I don't know. There's that many dates stamped against these files. Date Modified. Let's remove Create Date because that's apparently a duff column with nothing in there. And then now we've got to reorder it that way and scroll all the way to the top. And there he is. It was part number 6. It was part number 6. Tell me that that is a good idea. I'll tell you it's fucking not. Oh, it's awful. It's awful. Who thought this was a good idea? And why is it not? Why is it still like this after 3 years? Why is this still like this after 3 years? So the next thing that the new copy design does, which is actually pretty good, I'm taking the piss because it is horrible. I mean, clearly the guy that created this has got no customer experience. He's never worked in industry. He's never really used this in anger. He's been given a spec sheet of things to do and he's done it. But when you go to copy design, you've got these things called action rules, which again make absolutely no sense to anybody unless you're told how they work. But an action rule is a set of conditions that are enforced against your files as they're being copied. So at all times, you've got this default rule set, right, which is what applies against your files by default. So if we go to edit, this is what updates your part number. So basically, I know it's all grayed out because you can't really edit this one. But if your file name contains star, right, that means if your file name basically is not empty, which it's never going to be empty, you can't have an empty file name. If file name contains something, then that's this bit here. So there's almost like a then condition here. The part number will be set as the file name. So this action rule applies as the files are being copied. Whatever the file name is, make the part number the same thing, right? And then also reset the category at the same time. So that's the default rule set. And you can do your own conditions if you want to. You can define your own set of rules. So you'd go cancel on that, and then you create a new one. In fact, I'd probably just be inclined to copy that one. So let's call this TFI rule set. All right, and then we'll click edit on that. So we can now say, right, well, in addition to the file name containing that and then doing this, we can also maybe say, if the description contains, I don't know, red, then, something else will do something else, right? I don't know what that is. I haven't got something off the top of my head that I can think of, but, maybe set the category as this, assign something to somebody. I don't know, whatever, but that's how it works. It's if a property in the file being copied matches this set of rules, then as they're being copied, do these things to these other properties. And that's the rule set. So once you've created your rule set, right, you hit apply and OK, and then you select this drop down list here, and then you make that rule set active, right? And then now that is going to be applied against the files when they're copied. Obviously, obviously, who didn't know that? It's just, it's horrible. I mean, come on, Autodesk. What is all this at the bottom here? And why is that numbering? Can someone show me where else in Vault that appears as this icon anywhere else in Vault? Actions. I mean, this kind of makes sense because this is like breaking down what's happening. So currently everything's being reused. So if we were to say, right, we're actually going to copy the top branch, well then the 970 top level assembly appears in the copy. Is it a tab? I don't know. But then everything else is in reused. Yeah, that's kind of what all this is about. I don't know what edit is. I still genuinely don't know what that is. Can we drag stuff into there? Nope. Can't do anything like that. Where used is arguably useful, I guess. If you're creating a copy design of this pin, well, then you can see where else it's used. And then you know, you can then decide whether or not you need to copy the things that are being used. So then you can directly copy those from there. But that's it. That's how you copy design using this quotes new copy design, which has been around for 3 years. Autodesk. You need to put some time into redesigning this, right? Functionally, it's brilliant. It can do things which the old copy design couldn't do, which is most welcome. But you have to understand that the majority of the users out there, I'm not talking about super users here, which is the majority of people who watch videos like this on YouTube, unfortunately. But the majority of your everyday users who just use Vault as an occasional tool to do their job, they don't want to use it, they're forced to use it because people like me come in and install it and say you've got to use it. They cannot work this out. They can't work this out. This is a complete alien foreign language to most people, and it's got to be given a bit of dev time to tidy this up, make it more consistent. Like, what is ID? What is ID? What's status? And just for anybody that is watching, you can tidy the columns up, right? You can go to the choose columns and you can say, right, in fact, fuck off, get rid of ID, get rid of status, get rid of count, and then you can start putting in columns that are useful, the likes of part number, which is here somewhere. It's up at the top for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why it's all alphabetical except that one. Fuck me. And then description, you can maybe put that in as well. And then you've got whatever's useful to you, whatever you need to see. Then you can put that in there. Is there a destination path? Whether or not that actually... There you go, destination path. Like, why is that not there by default? Right, so if we copy that too and make a new... So just let's do the 1070 over again, right? Let's do 1070. Drop that into there. Why is that there? Why is that not there by default, Autodesk? Don't leave this to people for them to do themselves, because people don't know what they want. People look to you to tell them what they want. They assume you know best. They assume you're giving them the tool set up optimally. Oh my God. So you can customize these columns to your liking. That will, I mean, at this point, I don't know. I'm assuming it stays put. I mean, if I shut that down and copy design again, it is staying put. That's good. That's good. But it will be per user. It will be a profile thing. So anyway, guys, that'll do for this one. That's the copy design. It will do more than what I've shown you how to do. It can, you know, parts and drawings linked together, adding related documentation and stuff like that. There is more to it, but I don't know how long I've been ranting on for at this point, but just hopefully, if anything else, right? Yeah, even if Autodesk don't watch this and they don't kind of get the point, which is just my point. Don't get me wrong; it's just my opinion. People out there, there will be people out there who are like, well, I found it most intuitive. Well, good for you. I've yet to meet anybody who's found this intuitive. I really haven't. And I've worked in a lot of places. I work 2 engineering companies right now with a combined staff of about 300 people of massively varying skill levels. And every single person has asked me to turn this off just because they don't have the time. And they just, it's not just that they don't have the time to learn it. They just don't want to. As far as they're concerned, right, this might not be understood by most people. Again, I'm sorry, I do sound a bit patronizing and condescending in that way, but most people just don't want to learn this, right? Because the old one, this one here, it did the job. This did the job for them. It worked for years. They don't care that this could maybe do more things for them because it's an inconvenience that they don't know how it works. Therefore, they think, look, I just need to do my job. This let me do my job. Bring this back and turn it on. With the irony being, I mean, right, so let's go back over to Google. This kind of says it all, right? So we'll leave it at this. It will end on this, right? If you do a Google search for Autodesk Vault, turn off new comments. I shit you not. The top link. Autodesk have been forced, I assume forced, to create a knowledge base article on how to turn this entire new copy design off and bring back the old one. Do you not think that says it all really about the quotes new copy design? All right, guys, that'll do it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, do hit the like button. If you genuinely didn't like the video and you thought it was shit, ill-informed, false, or misguided, then that's what the dislike button is for. More than happy for you to hit that. Do not press it because you didn't find it relevant. If you enjoy this sort of stuff and you want to see more, by all means also head on over to the Patreon link in the description down below. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Toodles.